thing. Okay, so today we will revise last week's study, which was additional uses of yawny. Yes, I remember now. And then we're going to add some new vocabulary today to our catalogue of timing references. So we're going to use Aidani and learn how that differs from the other time references. Not much of a surprise for 1, 2, 3, 4 of you, 5 of you, including Neska, as we only did this like, what, 12 hours ago? I mean, maybe a bit longer, 16 hours maybe.
See, that's the whole difference. Forget everything. Would it be 14 hours?
14
it would
hours.
be good. Yeah. 16, no.
It's important to forget everything you've learned, just like this. I'm just going to see if... Was Constantina here last night? She wasn't, was she? No, she joined the beginner session. I wonder if she knows this one's on. Let me just send her a quick message.
I think she'll come. She said yesterday she might join. I'm not sure, but...
Oh, okay. I'll just send her a reminder. Because otherwise she won't have done this adults class. Right, let's get started with some revision from last week. Sorry, my Zoom isn't showing me the ability to open anything else other than the whiteboard. Let me try again. What's going on? I wonder if because it's converting, it can't share the screen. It's fucking annoying. Can you see this, guys?
Yeah? Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's do this then. Does it now appear like a presentation with just the title at the top and this square at the bottom?
Yeah,
like a presentation.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so we have already done Yorni before, and you probably remember that we have the sentence structure as the purpose happening first, and this is generally a verb, and then Yorni, especially this might be a potential verb or a negative verb, and then we have Yorni, and then we have an action afterwards. So we're still going to use that for the first half of this revision. So we're going to talk about how to advise caution and precaution. So our basic meaning of Yorni is in order that, or to be able to, but it's also useful for giving advice, requests, or commands for future circumstances rather than the immediate. So for example, if I said, look out for the car, or be careful of that car, in English, this is very different to be careful when crossing the road because of cars. Obviously, these are easy to make a difference in English, but they both seem to say be careful. But the first one is immediate, and the second one is really a kind of precaution for the future. And if we use these, if we use it inappropriately, if we use the opposite versions of these, if we use this when we should be using this, then this is very confusing in Japanese. So for example, if somebody's leaving the house, if a child is leaving the house and I say, kuruma o kiotsukete kudasai, then they're likely to look around and say, oh, where's the car? Because I've just said, be careful of the car. Whereas what I want to say is, be careful of cars in the future. So rather than just saying, kuruma o kiotsukete kudasai, I need to say something else. So an example construction is, make sure that you wear a coat in winter so that you don't catch a cold. Sorry guys, I'm just going to let some people in. Zoom is being very naughty at the moment. Sorry. Okay, she's joining. Hey, Constantina.
Hi, sorry for late.
No problem, no problem. So for example, construction, make sure you wear a coat in winter so you don't catch a cold. Then we could put this part here into this kaze o hikanai yoni to make it clear that we're talking about something happening in the future. Fuyu ni koto o kite kudasai. In winter, please wear a coat. So this is very different to me just saying koto o kite kudasai. If I just said koto o kite kudasai, even though it's midsummer, then the person would think I'm being kind of crazy. Okay, as always with tamini and yoni, we construct the purpose before the yoni and then the action comes afterwards. And also, if we want to add a little bit more of a feeling that this isn't for immediate attention, it's a precaution for the future, if you put ne at the end, this is a good use of ne. So saying, I don't know if you've seen the Miku Sensei video on the use of ne. It doesn't just mean n'est-ce pas, it also means kind of encouragement for the future, but not for immediate action. So you can't say, kono video mite ne. If you want somebody to look at a video now, you should just say kono video mite or kono video mite kudasai. If you say kono video mite ne, it means in future, please try and watch the video. Okay, any questions, guys, before we do some exercises? Prego.
When I was studying this from the last week's matter, the one that it was with the diabetes and the too many sweets. On the example was be considerate to the others, like it was a positive way to say don't do this. But on the example, we use the negative tabesuginai yoni.
Sure.
Is it correct? Because I was a little bit confused in this matter.
Yeah. So it depends on the way that you use yoni. It's extremely versatile term, and it's used in lots of different ways. If you just want to say, if you just want to do that like the purpose action form, then this is usually going to be used in such a way that this is either the potential or the negative. If there is direct intentionality, you want to communicate direct intentionality, then you'd use tameni. It's not that there's it's not that there's a kind of law stopping you from using yoni. It's just it's not expressing it in the same way. So although when you're saying, for example, in order for my daughter to go to university, I'm saving money, there are some regulations there about not using tameni. So for example, if it's for your daughter, then, and it's her ability to go to university, then this doesn't really suggest tameni. Tameni is the subject and the action should be the same. Sorry, the subject of the purpose and the subject of the action should be the same. And there needs to be some direct cause and effect if you use tameni. If there isn't this same kind of cause and effect, then this pushes you towards yoni. So it's not to say you can't put a standard verb in here, like iku, taberu, etc. But it's communicating something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just only a positive word, a positive sentence, yoni at the end, and this is going to be like a rule to go to.
No. You'll find that lots of things actually happen before yoni. In fact, we can even have nouns before yoni, but then this changes the meaning of yoni. Yoni then means like, as if, or appearing like. It completely sort of changes the meaning of yoni.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
So no, not at all, not at all. So like I explained before, and there I've just used that word, like. English speakers, natural English speakers, use the word like in about 7 or 8 different versions, and they all mean something slightly different. So yoni is a little bit like. It really kind of gets thrown into sentences in different ways, and it serves different meanings. Yeah.
And this is where we say, just where we grasp the meaning of yoni, you just erase everything.
Well, I mean, there's lots of them. Yeah. I think the context, I tell you, I think the context will help to explain what the yoni means each time. So, yeah, through practice and understanding the context, it'll become clearer what it means. Yeah, I mean, just like the word like has got several different meanings, they all kind of resemble one core meaning. Yeah, or maybe two core meanings. Yeah. Okay, let's sorry, just give me a quick sec. Okay. Where are we? Any other questions, guys, before we do exercises? Okay, let's try some. These ones here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick the people who weren't here last night first to have first go at this. Okay, so Jock, would you like to have a go on the first one?
Yes, I think I may have done this one before, but
do you want to do the
okay,
second one then, or is it so? It was last week,
no,
wasn't it? So
I've already forgotten. Nebusoku Shinayoni.
sorry, I don't know this word. Nibusoku. This is also oversleep, is it? Sleep late, does it mean?
I think so. Oh, not enough sleep.
So
No, it's not oversleep. No.
So oversleep is nebo suru.
Okay, nebo shinayoni.
Good. Yes.
Mezamashi o kanarazu seto suru. Seto shinakia ikenai.
Yeah. So if you just said sette shite kudasai, so seto is one word. This is, of course, is just the Japanification of the word set. Or you can use sette, which is the real word for setting. And then you can say just sette shite or sette shite kudasai. Or do you remember we did those commands a few weeks ago?
Sette shinasai.
Yeah, sette shinasai. This is good. Shinasai. Good. Nebo shinayoni mezumashi o kanarazu sette shinasai. Excellent. Let's see who else. Effie, be careful when you're riding a bicycle that you don't have an accident.
Okay. Okay, because I was just listening last time.
Yesterday.
No, last Tuesday I was only listening.
Okay.
So it's a good exercise.
Sure.
Is bicycle jitensha?
Jitensha, yes.
Jitensha.
Yeah.
Is it jitensha shuru? Also like ride the bicycle?
So for bicycles and horses, it's the same verb for getting on a vehicle. Like getting on a bus or getting on a train. So we would use.
No, hairu? No, iru? No. I don't know.
You'll kick yourself when I tell you. And can anybody help?
I know.
Noru.
Exactly.
Noru. Okay.
Noru. Yes, good.
Noru. So jitensha. How do we do it with just infinitive? Yoni.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, just before we go on then, let's identify from this sentence what parts of the English sentence are what. So this be careful is what?
That's the action.
Okay. When you're riding your bicycle, what's this?
Also the action? No? When you're riding, isn't it when you're
maybe.
Because the purpose is that you don't have the accident.
Right.
So that goes before the yoni.
Right.
Okay.
And when you're riding your bicycle, this is a time reference, so it can go practically anywhere, can't it? Yeah.
Okay, jitensha noru toki.
Good.
Then I put the purpose. So noru toki ni no ni
Just toki is fine. Yeah.
toki. Okay.
Yeah.
Jiko don't have not to have an accident. Not jiko suru jiko motte imasu. No, I don't know.
No. So who remembers how to talk about the occurrence of an accident? What would be the verb for an accident to happen?
The last part in English sentence should be in the, at the beginning in Japanese. It's more it's easier to understand in Japanese when we use it the other way.
You mean this
Or
this part here?
Whatever, or this part here. I would like to take this and at the beginning.
That's going to happen. That's going to happen. But we can put the time reference first. This also is fine when you ride a bike, or this can go in the second part as well. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. But how do we say? What's the verb to have an accident, guys?
Jiko.
Naru.
Okuru.
Okoru.
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 Occur. I have to remember the occur. Okay.
Yeah. Or aru is also fine. Aru is also fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So jiko aran nai. Jiko nai. Jiko ga nai yoni.
Is it you breaking up or is it me? I'm not sure. Is Effie breaking up?
I think
Okay. Okay.
Effie, you've become a robot.
What an unfortunate pose to stop in.
Oh my god. Okay.
We can hear you now, Effie.
Yeah,
Right.
everything is stuck. I don't know. It's like I have all the time my crushes on Zoom. So just
Okay.
where was it? Yeah, Yoni.
Jitensha
kudasai.
Yes, good. Kiyotsukete kudasai.
Oh no, I have to look at the phone. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to have this picture. I'm going to blow it up and put it
Oh
on
my god,
Facebook.
what is it? Wait.
I'll show you later when I do the
gosh,
recording.
okay.
Kim, can you do an impression?
I think I'll just have to. Okay, I just have to re-enter. Oh my god, I'm offline. Okay, I'll go back with my computer in a while.
Yeah, take
Okay.
time. Take time. No problem. Okay, and then Constantina. In order to not get diabetic or diabetes, don't eat too many sweets.
The example I was talking about.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The diabetes was. I wrote it down.
Tongyobyo.
Tongyobyo.
Good.
Exactly. I was thinking something with
Tongyobyo.
T.
Yeah.
In order not to get diabetic, tongyobyo, like the same verb, okoru.
So
You can use
for diabetes, it's you could use a koru, it would be understood, but you normally become diabetic. This is how you would say. Become is
to be.
Uh,
Iru.
no, to become, to change into.
Oh Jesus, sweet mother of Jesus! I don't remember. I don't know.
Who can help?
Naru.
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 Jesus Christ, Naru, the simplest thing. Yeah, I know. Slap my Naru.
Punch yourself in the face several times, please.
Yeah. Ni naranai.
Yeah, good.
Yoni.
Mhm.
The sweets is the ame.
Ame, good.
Ame o tabe suginai. Tonight. Tabe suginai.
Suginai.
Yoni. Again. No.
Probably best not to use yoni twice.
No.
But
Suginai. Let's put command then.
yeah.
No. Yes, but with this. Sugina. Tabe
Sugi.
sugina.
So tabesugi sugina means eat plenty of sweets.
I wish. No. Tabe suginai. Yes. Siruna.
So here, if we've got this ending tabesugiru something, tabesugiru. Well, one really easy way to do a negative command, a prohibition, is to say tabesuginai de without the kudasai. This is now like making a negative request, but without the fluffy cotton wool around it. Tabesuginai de.
So this is more like a command instead of saying de kudasai, like please don't eat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Just don't eat. Yeah. How would we say, with a much stronger tone? How would we say don't eat too much? Anybody?
Like
Taberuna.
Suguna.
Yeah, tabesugiru na.
Tabesugiru.
Yeah, or
Tabesugeru Becky desu.
Tabesuginai Becky. Becky means you must. So you'd have to say
tabesu.
Becky.
Yeah, couldn't you use this in a negative form as well?
Only if you put the verb into the tabesuginai Becky.
Yeah, tabesuginai Becky.
Yeah.
Becky desu.
I'm not saying you can't, but I'm not sure if you can put Becky after a negative or not.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I haven't read it, so I'm not sure. So it may or may not be usable. I don't know.
Tabesugite shinai.
Tabesugite ikanai. Yeah, tabesugite. So yeah, you must not. Yeah, tabesugite de ikanai. Ikanai. Yeah, it's also good. Okay, let's move on. So let's leave this as tabesuginai de. Who else wasn't here yesterday? Sophie, would you like to have a go on? I've got a feeling did you do this one recently there?
Yes, I think I did that one last week.
How about this one? Be careful to not cut your hand when you do Norto with your new Shinken.
Let's start step by step. Hand. Okay. Tekubi wo.
You're the second person that's done that. Wayne last night said tekubi. This means wrist.
Te.
Te.
Te. Te wo. Be careful not to cut. Got stuck again.
Okay, so the bit you're translating at the moment is this part here, to not cut your hand. So te o.
Kirinai.
Not kirinai, but ki. It's a group one verb.
Kite.
No.
Kitanai. Oh no.
Plain negative. Plain negative of kiru.
Kiru? Kinai.
No, it's a group one verb.
Kiru. Yes. Kiru. Kiranai.
Kiranai. Good.
Right. Kiranai.
Mm-hmm.
So yoni.
Yoni. Excellent.
Okay, up to there.
Now be careful here. We've got a time reference here.
So we have the toki.
Good.
Good. Okay, toki. Toki noto de.
No. So when you do noto, how do we use toki? For example, if I say when I go to Japan, something, how do I write this?
Yeah, it's got to do with the verb.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
So this would be, let's go nihon ni, and we put the verb into the plain form. Nihon ni kyu toki. Like this. Yeah. So when you do noto would be
noto suru.
Good.
Noto suru.
Toki. This is also a kind of time reference here.
So, te o kiranai yoni noto suru toki. With your new thinking, new is atarashi.
Good.
Atarashi thinking.
Yep. And then with.
With isogashi came into my mind, but it's
No.
not. It's not. It doesn't have to do with
So
there.
yeah, there is fine.
There.
To is also fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
with de or to, either is fine. And then be careful. Hang on. Yoni, noto suru atarashi kende. Yeah, good.
Just get a.
This is good. Yeah, kiyosuke is fine. This is a command. Yeah, kiyosuke. Yeah. Okay, let's just look at the structure of the sentence again. Te o kiranai yoni noto suru toki atarashi shinken de kiyosuke. So at the moment, it's kind of the actual purpose, this part here, gets a little bit lost because it's then followed by all of these details. So again, I would think
Put
that
into the front, noto, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Noto sutoki atarashi shinken de
Yeah.
te o kiranai yoni kiyosuke.
Yeah, it's better like that. Yeah, correct.
Jock, are you thinking about the unspoken order of details?
No, I was just
Oh,
wondering why you don't start with the Atarashi Shinkende.
This is what I was thinking. Yeah, that
Should be first, shouldn't it?
Well, I don't think there's a grammatical rule, but there's certainly a style which would put that at the beginning. Even though that's a detail which can come in any order, I think you're right. It would be, this is kind of scene setting first, isn't it? Then this is quite specific time reference, and then this is the actual sentence. Yeah. Yeah, a bit like the big brown fox, isn't it? The order in which you give adjectives. You don't say the brown big fox.
More logical.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's move on to, you were here last night, Nazca, you were here, Nazca. Taya, are you here to listen or join?
Mostly listen, but I can try.
Yeah, okay. How about this one? So that you arrive early for the interview, you should leave before 7 a.m.
Kaiken is an interview.
Kaiken?
Kaiken ni. Can you use hayai here?
So not hai, well, hayai is kind of being used, but what you can't use is hayaku, because this means quickly. So how do we change hayai into early? Do you remember?
No.
Can you put hayameni? Good. Hayameni. Guys, I'm going to be back in a second. I'm just going to get an ice pack to go onto my laptop. It's actually too hot to put my hands on the keys.
And I thought I had a problem with my.
That's not natural.
As long as you can't bake a steak on it, it's fine, right?
Maybe it's where all the birds come from.
I thought solid-state computers were supposed to run cooler than hard drives, but apparently that doesn't
They
apply when
are.
you're using Zoom. Yeah, Zoom seems
Is
to
it
have
still
broken
solid
that rule.
state or is it getting fluid?
It's nearly, yeah. It's certainly melting my fingers when I try and type on it. Jesus, it's because it's processing a Zoom previous Zoom session at the moment, and also doing this one too. So it's kind of gone into meltdown.
Is it where you bake your bread?
It's a good
Are you
idea.
encoding?
Yeah, Well, it's processing a previous video.
That'll explain it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Taya, back to you. Hayameni.
Kaiken ni hayamen. But this sounds weird that there's so many ni.
So for the verb that's going to follow, to reach or to arrive, you can replace kaiken. Ni is fine. Ni is fine,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you can replace it with o.
Oh, kaiken o.
Mm.
Okay. Kaiken o hayame ni kimasu.
Okay, so which verb? Which
Kuru
verb?
yo ni.
So kuru means to come, but you're not coming to the interview. You're
Oh,
going to the interview
um,
and arriving. So which verb do you know which means arrive? We can see Constantina knows the answer.
probably, but I can't see.
Okay, so the
Scoop.
Constantino, scoot, did you say?
Yeah.
Yes, scoot, scoot, exactly. Yeah, scoot.
Hayame ni tsuku yo ni.
Very good.
Ichiji mae ni.
Shichiji no mae ni. Yeah.
Ichiji no mae ni dekake.
Dekake.
Wait a minute, you should. Dekake nakereba narimasen.
Very good. Nakereba narimasen. You must. Good. Cool. Excellent. Piotr. Are you just listening still, Piotr?
Hi, I'm listening, but I can join for one.
Okay. Please cut lightly so that you don't injure your wrists.
So this will be Takubi.
Yep, good.
Takubi or an injury. Let's see if I hadn't written that down. Injury, kega suru.
Good.
So kega shinai yo ni.
Excellent.
Lightly would be softly, yawarakaku.
Very good. Yawarakaku.
Kite kudasai. Sorry, kite kudasai.
Perfect. Well done. And let's see. Tobe, why don't you lead us into the second part of today's revision by giving us an alternative version of this?
Oh dear. So I forgot the cure
for health.
Kenko.
Kenko, good.
Kenko tameni.
This is a noun, so it's kenko.
Kenko ni tameni.
Not ni. Not ni. Ni's for verbs.
No tameni.
No tameni. Good.
Osake o nomisugimasu.
Oh, for the purpose of my health, I'm drinking too much alcohol.
No. It's nomisuginai de kudasai.
Suginai de kudasai. Okay, so this works. This works.
Or just de.
Yeah, or just de. Nomisuginai de. Now we've got to lead us into the second part of the revision. Kim, what can you tell? How can you do this sentence to kind of change it into something that we're going to work on now? Do you remember?
14 hours is a long time, you know.
It is if you've been drinking constantly over that time.
研究のためにお酒を飲みすぎないように。
Very good. 飲みすぎないように. And just like this, and we leave it hanging for the second part of today's revision. Just give you a second to write this down in case you're making notes. Oh, we've got another one here. Let's do this one. Bonus episode for Tom.
COVID. The verb was sakeru.
Good. Or sakeru.
Sakeru. And in the beginning, I can do the time reference. So maybe when you leave the house is a time reference in this case.
Good idea. Yes, excellent.
So in the beginning, ie o. To leave is devil.
Good.
Ni, because it's time. Toki.
Okay, good.
Okay, COVID o sakeu yo ni. Masku o. Is it kakeru? Tsukeru.
Put on tsukeru, yeah.
Tsukeru. Tsuke nakereba narimasen.
Good. Tsuke nakereba narimasen. Cool. Okay. You can probably, some of you might also be thinking, want to put tameni here. Actually, it's fine. You could use yoni or tameni at this moment. In fact, if you're trying to kind of infer direct intention to action, then tameni would be better for this one. Yeah. Okay, good. Let's move on to today's second part of the revision.
Sorry, sakeru is positive?
I think so. It's a word that somebody said yesterday. I think it means to avoid. Okay. Yeah.
It was from Wayne.
Oh, was it Wayne? Right. So a little look, shall we? Sakeru. To avoid physical contact with, to avoid a situation, to ward off or to avert. Yeah.
It was me who did that yesterday.
Oh, was it you? Oh, it was
yeah.
you, Toby. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Where are we? Screen. See if this works. Can you see this presentation, guys, again?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So up to now, we've worked on this idea of having, when we use yoni, having a purpose before it and an action after it. Now, you can forget it. The king is dead. Long live the king. We'll move on. To think of this being not like purpose or action, but instead to use yoni to say be or do like this. So again, we're coming back to this word like to mean as if. So we can give precautions, but we can actually state them without saying the actions. We can leave the sentence open in conversational Japanese when we're talking. You can't really do this with written Japanese because it would break the rules of grammar. But if you're speaking, then there's no problem with leaving a sentence open at the end, if the context is obvious. For example, here is a sign, which obviously means don't drop litter, but you might see something underneath it that reads this. Can anybody read this?
Otagai o kangaeru yoni.
Very good. Yeah. How would you translate that, John?
Think of other people.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Be considerate to each other. Please think of other people. So this isn't saying don't drop litter at the end. It's just saying be considerate. Think about being considerate. But it's also not saying this as an order. It's not saying otagai o kangaete kudasai. It's saying in order to be considerate to each other, ... And then of course the meaning is don't drop litter. So we don't, when we're talking conversation, we don't always have to make the actual action there. We can talk about purpose being there, and then the action is quite obvious. Now, when we do the exercises, you'll see how this becomes quite obvious. So this full implied sentence would, the implied full sentence would be thought of as yoni, an action, and then yoni, and then just do it coming afterwards. But we don't actually say the do it part. For example, in this particular example, otagai o kangaeru yoni shite kudasai. Just be considerate to each other. But we don't have to say the shite kudasai. We can just say otagai o kangaeru yoni. Oops. Now, this obviously, I expect this will kind of generate some questions on this, but if we do the examples, you'll see how this works much easier. Okay, let's try some. And those of you that were here last night, you'll be glad to know I've slightly changed the questions so that it's a little bit more challenging. We've got the exam one here. Oh, okay. Let's before we start these, let's do an example one together to help kind of understand how this works. So, for example, I might have the advice for so that you don't make a mistake in the exam. Please study often. Okay. So let me ask Taya, can you translate this?
Me.
You are Taya, right?
Yes. I'm not sure if I heard correctly.
Yeah.
I can try. Shippai.
You say shippai?
Shippai.
Yeah, that's correct. That's a failure rather than a mistake, though.
Okay.
How do you in Budo? How do you scream to somebody that's wrong?
Dame.
Is that the only word you've heard? I've heard lots of things
Machigai.
being said to you. Machigai, yes. Machigai.
Machigai o suru yoni.
So machigai, not suru, but
Shinai yoni.
shinai yoni.
So in the exam, that would be first.
Yes, good. So
Shikken ni
good.
Machigai shinai yoni.
Yep.
Please study often. Sorry, I'm really slow today.
That's good. Do you remember often? It's like sounds like well. Can anybody help Taya?
Yoku.
Yoku. Good. And then study. Please study. Back to you, Taya.
Benkyo suru, but
Benkyo. Please study.
Benkyo shite kudasai.
Yes, good. Benkyo shite kudasai. Okay, so this part here, well, this is kind of obvious. This can be just implied rather than actually said, or maybe some other kind of advice like be careful, or maybe something like read the question carefully. These are all good advice to not make a mistake in the exam. But you can encapsulate all of them by not saying them. You can just give some good advice, which is be careful to not make a mistake in an exam by taking this part off. And there, we've now said, don't make a mistake in the exam. Be careful to not make a mistake in the exam. Not now, I mean the exam that's coming now, the exam that's coming in the future, which is different to saying shiken ni machigai shinaide. This has a feeling of immediacy. Don't make a mistake now, machigai shinaide. But if you're saying machigai shinai yoni, then this means when this comes up in the future. Always be aware, always study hard, always read the question carefully. Okay, so Why is that there? That's not right. Hang on. Different exercise.
Oh.
Phew!
Oh,
That really looked a bit hard for
that was a bit of a
context.
yes.
Oh dear. That's coming next, guys.
I didn't even see anything. I'm just like,
I mean, neither, obviously. Okay, so let's go to Jock. Do you want to have a go at this first one? In the championships, don't step outside the shiaijo.
大会で試合場を出ないよ
Denai.
出ないように
Yoni, yes, yes, sorry, I didn't hear the last part. Denai Yoni, that's it. Now, again, there is some kind of implied advice coming at the end, some sort of action. So, Jock, what would you think you could give us a kind of action here? So don't step outside.
sh- しなさい
Yeah, exactly. You can just say shinasai. Don't do it, or do it rather. Be like this, shinasai. But you don't have to say it, of course.
Do I need something between Taikai and Shiaijo?
Taikai.
Can there be a particle in there?
Yeah, taikai de or taikai ni.
Yeah.
Both of these are fine. Yeah, good. I think you said taikai ni actually. I just didn't type it. Tom, Tobe, David, Constantina. Make sure you brush your teeth before going to sleep.
okay, make sure you brush your teeth. Right. Brush your teeth is the shuru verb, no? Oh no. Migaku.
Migaku, yes.
Migaku, okay.
Yeah.
So, before going to sleep, okay. Made, before.
No, made is a particle actually.
Okay. Let's go to sleep. Nemuru.
Nemuru.
Maini.
Good.
Okay. Migaku Yoni.
You're having some major construction work at your house.
What? Oh no, I have opened the window because it's so far. out.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
They're
Sorry.
cutting the grass today somewhere.
What, with dynamite?
Yeah, it's the houses in front of the road, so it's.
Okay, right, no problem. Ha-o.
Yoni.
Ha-o, then brush.
Yes. Ha-o migaku yoni.
Yes, good. Yeah, exactly. Again, we got some sort of advice here. We might say something like wasurenai de kudasai, like don't forget to, but we don't have to say this. It's implied by just leaving it open. Kim, go ahead.
The make sure, should we put something for the make sure? I think we said it last time.
I mean, you can absolutely add kanarazu to give it some strength, but actually make sure is implied by making the sentence in this form. It's not saying brush your teeth. It's not, the sentence isn't saying on its own, go and brush your teeth. It's saying ensure you brush your teeth later before going to sleep. It's giving that non-immediacy by saying migaku yoni. Yeah.
Kind of general advice, isn't it, really?
It is, exactly. Yeah. Kim, you had a question?
Yes, what is the difference between nemuru and neru?
No difference at all. One's a group one verb, one's group two verb. They're completely interchangeable.
Yeah, I was looking at a edict and couldn't find any difference.
Yeah, it's the same. It's exactly the same word. It's almost certainly from a regional difference of it. Some part of Japan used to pronounce it neru, some part used to pronounce it nemuru, and then when they unified the Japanese language, they said, well, we'll use both. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Piotr, because it's a waste when you leave the room, make sure you switch off the lights.
Let's see. Waste. Did I write that down? Muda. Would we use muda?
Sorry, just a second. Sorry.
In Jojo.
Muda.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Right. Muda desu kara.
Good. Desu kara.
部屋をできるように
No, this is a time reference here. So
できるの時
not dekiru, but dekiru means to be able to.
Is it 出る
Deru.
Sorry.
It is
出るの時 Sorry,
出る
出る時 or 出るの時に
Deru toki. If you have a
出る
verb,
時
you don't need anything between the verb and toki.
うんうん
And I'll just remind you. Okay. Deru toki.
Make sure to switch lines off. 電気を Sorry, 必ず電気を or no?
Yeah, hang on. Kanarazu. Denki o.
出すように
That's it. It's kesu or kiru.
消す Okay. Then 消すように
Kesu.
Just that?
Yeah, that's that. Exactly. Yeah. Just leave it like this. Okay. And let's. Sophie, are you there still? I can't see you. Are you hiding under the desk with all the lights switched off? She's gone. Nazca, it's easy to slip over today, so don't get injured.
Oh, to sleep over or to sleep over, yeah, like fall asleep. It was
That's
like the
sleep over. It's different.
sleep over. 今日が滑りやすいので、
Good. 滑りやすい。
怪我しないように。
Very good. Excellent. Kega shinai yoni. Exactly. Good. Well done, everybody. So you're probably thinking, why are we doing this? It seems so kind of a minority part of the language. But actually, people use this a lot when they're saying goodbye to each other. Things like, don't catch a cold, don't get ill, don't have an accident going home. This is often used as a parting kind of, what's the opposite of a greeting? A parting farewell is to say, for example, if it's winter, people often say kaze o hikanai yoni. And just leave it like this. The implication is ki o tsukete kudasai. Or just shite kudasai. Do it so that you don't catch a cold. But this is just implied. You don't have to say it. And it's often used. Before an exam, machigai shinai yoni. Before going into hospital to have a baby, akachan or otosanai yoni, don't drop the baby. Okay, so a few of you have sometimes used the toki ni, and let me just explain when we use toki and when we use toki ni. So, for example, jitensha o noru toki, helmet o kaburimasu or kabutte kudasai. Okay, so what does it say?
When you're riding a bike, wear a helmet.
Very good. When you ride a bike, ride a helmet. Now, if I put toki ni in here, let me just write down what you just said. When you ride a bike, please wear a helmet. Now, by putting toki ni in there, this changes this first reference not to when you ride a bike, but it is when you ride a bike. Let me just write this out properly, just a second. is when you ride a bike. Almost like using wa to draw attention to that moment in time.
So it's basically like using the knee. You're pointing to the point in time when you're doing this.
Yes, in reference to all other times, for example. So you might want to say, it's when you ride a bike that you should wear a helmet. And which implies, for example, and not when you are at a disco, for example, to give some kind of comparison to something else. So this is why we don't just throw in toki ni all the time, because you're actually drawing attention now to the time at which you do it rather than the action or the precaution that you're trying to draw your attention to. Yeah. So actually toki ni isn't used that much unless you're trying to say, trying to give an example.
If I were to use a specific time, like yesterday when I rode my bike,
yeah,
it would be toki ni then.
Only if you're comparing it to something else. Let me give another example. Let me give you one that you can all probably understand. Kesagiri o suru toki ni kesa aso kara chiburi o shimasu. This would be right. It is when you do kesagiri that you do chiburi from hasso. And this implication is ga oka no waza nara hasso kara chiburi shimasen.
So during kesagiri as opposed to the other times.
Exactly. Yes.
But if you are not referring to the other ones, then you can say just toki.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly this. Yeah. Yeah. All this sentence here does is it draws attention to the difference between kesagiri and all the other katas. So if you just want to say when you do kesagiri, do chiburi from hasso, then you don't need toki ni. You just say toki. Yeah.
So it's for the specific moment or specific thing that you want to put the ni. So toki it's in general the time of doing that. Right.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could say kesagiri wa hasso kara no chiburi o tsukaimasu. But if you want to say when you do kesagiri, it is when you do kesagiri that you do chiburi from hasso, then you can use this toki ni. Yeah. Otherwise, just use toki when you're saying when I do this, when I do that, or when I did this, when I did that. Then just use toki. You don't need to use toki ni. Toki is already a particle, and ni is also a particle. So putting them together is quite unusual. We do sometimes put particles together, like niwa. It's in the garden. The place it is in the garden. Niwa niwa. But generally, we don't put two particles together. It's rare to do it. Okay, any questions, guys, about this precautions giving schniffle schniffle? Cool, let's move on to today's subject. Here we go. Okay. Guys, in English, probably in your own languages as well, you'll find that there's many different ways of saying the same thing, right? So, for example, if I said, while I was at the shops, I met Tom. While I was at the shops, I met Tom. I could say this in about 4 or 5 different ways in English. It was when I was at the shops, I met Tom. While going to the shops, I met Tom. At the time of going to the shops, I met Tom. There's all these different ways of doing it. And there aren't really any grammatical rules in English to say you should use this one or that one. And to date, up to now, you might be thinking that every decision you make about how to speak in Japanese, because it's so systematic, there has to be some kind of really complex procedure to decide which sentence to make, which sentence to use, what grammar to use, what word to use. But it's not the case. Japanese has got a lot of freedom in it for you to just express yourself in whichever way you like. There aren't always really strict rules about what grammar to use. So when we've done the exercise on which conditional to use, there are some cases when you can use 2 or more conditionals, and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't add or take away anything from the sentence to go from one type of conditional to another type of conditional. And the same thing can happen with time references as well, whether you use toki, doji ni, nagara, aida ni, noni. These can be sometimes just completely up to you to decide which one to use, and it doesn't make any difference. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it's better. Sometimes there are strict rules. Sometimes there's ideas about style. Sometimes there's ideas about inferring another meaning into the sentence, but sometimes there's not. So there's a spectrum of effects which happen depending on which words you use, which grammar you use. And this is going to be very much the case with time references. Sometimes it's important to select the right one. Sometimes it's not so. Okay, so let's think about this one, aida ni. It's a really useful timing expression. It's very versatile and it's used often. And it works for both distance and time for physical objects and location. For example, Portugalu to France no aida ni Spain ga arimasu. So Spain is between Portugal and France. You can use it. This is just a very similar location reference as using no mae ni, no shiro ni, no tonari ni, no ue ni, no shita ni, no aida ni. It's just exactly the same. It's slightly more complex and often used more often to talk about time. Excuse me a second, I've got to reform the window so that I can read and see you guys at the same time. There we go. Now let's look at other time references first. So nagara is used to mean doing 2 verbs mostly at the same time, and the subjects are usually the same. In fact, that's a kind of rule that the subject of one verb has to be the same as the subject of the other verb. This is a regulation about nagara. And te iru in the present continuous tense plus aida ni means during that verb, but doesn't have the regulations that nagara has. So to help demonstrate this, let's use some imagery. If I use a present continuous tense to suggest a period of time in which I was doing something, there's a start to that action and there's an end to that action. If I then say toki, it means basically at some moment in time during that verb. It doesn't really refer to a duration. It means a small moment in time, a second or a moment during that doing of the verb. Compare that to nagara. Nagara again infers that there is some duration being spent doing one verb and at the same time doing another verb, almost a simultaneous kind of action. But the regulation is it must be done by the same person, by the same subject. And then te iru aida ni, or even doesn't have to be te iru, it could also be the plain form of the verb. This means during this time, at any time during it. It can be a moment or it can be a duration. It doesn't really matter. This is why aida ni is extremely versatile. It can mean both a moment in time and a duration of time. We also had dojini was another time reference we looked at before, and this means, as you probably remember, two things happening at the same time, but these are almost kind of very short instantaneous moments, not long duration things. So it's two things happening at the same time, but they are infinitesimally small durations of time. Like, I don't know, spitting on a nun and getting paid some money. Okay. While I was making dinner, Jenny was brushing her teeth. Here's a really good example. So we got this inferred subject, watashi ga ban gohan o sukuteiru aida ni Jenny ga ha o migakimashita. So here we've got the two subjects are different. I'm making dinner, Jenny's brushing her teeth, so I can't use nagara, but I can use aida ni. I can't use doji ni really, because these are not instantaneous events. And I could use toki, I think. Bangan o sukuturu toki, Jenny ga ha o migakimashita. This is also fine. So I can use both aida ni or toki. I've got some choice. It doesn't really matter which one I use, aida ni or toki. I really should stop making jokes about nuns. I'm going to start making jokes about Mother Teresa instead, actually.
I won't judge you. My Mother Teresa was not a good person.
I know, I know.
So it was in the bin.
Yes. Okay, so we'll do some exercises, and what we should hopefully find is that sometimes we won't have a choice, sometimes we will. And I'll ask you guys to think about what choices you have. There was one other thing I wanted to explain with this section. What was it now? I explained it last
Today
night.
you said the difference between aidani and tokini is that you know something happened at a point in time, and with aidani you don't know when it has happened.
Right. So when we get to the thunderstorm one, Tom, we'll use that as an example, as an illustrative example of how that makes a difference. There was something else, I think, when we did this slide, though. I can't remember what it was. No, maybe it'll come to me later. Okay. Any questions, guys? Excuse me.
A quick one for the Nagara. It has to be by the same subject. I don't remember that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, the subjects should be the same.
So if the subject is different, which one we're using? The dojini?
Well, it depends. If you use dojini, then this means that this thing happens at a very short period of time, like stepping onto a train and the doors closing at the same time. If you want to talk about a longer duration thing, then you could use toki or aidani. Either is fine. One of them doesn't really matter. But there will be some occasions, which I'll explain as we work through the exercises, which may steer you away from toki and more towards aidani, and vice versa as well. Yeah. We'll learn from experience. I'm not going to spend, if you really want to know the exact rules about when to use which, then you probably need to read a kind of linguistics paper on it, because it's not really written in textbooks. And I don't know it. We'll have to learn it by feeling and exercise. Right. Okay, give me a second, guys. Just going to find the right exercise.
I just found spitting on a nun in my dictionary.
See, it's a popular sport. Oh dear. So think about which is best to use. We've got, let me just put the choices down here. We've got aidani, that's easy. Toki. 同時に what else have we got?
Nagara?
Nagara. I remember what the Nagara thing was now. Yeah, let's do that now actually. So let's just quickly break down Nagara a second, because I found a really useful example to help illustrate how to make Nagara well. So when you're doing two things at the same time, is there an example here? Oh, there is, yeah. Which one to make into Nagara, which one to put at the end? So let's make a typical Nagara sentence, shall we? Without using one of these examples. Let's say, while I was cutting the grass, kusa o shibafu. Shibafu o kari nagara, uta o utaimashita. So this is while cutting the grass, I sang a song. This isn't a good one actually. I'm going to change it. Sorry. I'm going to say, I'm probably going to repeat one of the ones that's up above actually. Benkyou shinagara radio o kikimasu. So we got studying and listening to the radio. So in terms of kind of describing the scenario accurately, does it matter which one I put where? Could I do, for example, radio o kikinagara benkyou shimasu? Benkyou shimasu. Does it make a big difference?
Really?
No, not a big difference. I mean, perhaps the inferences that I was, in this case, benkyou shinagara radio kikimasu, that I start studying first and then I turn on the radio while I'm studying. And maybe this one kind of has the inference that I'm listening to the radio and then I start studying. But it doesn't really make too much difference. The nagara actually means to do something while doing something else. So there's not much difference with this. But what we have to be careful of are cause and effect. For example, or actually not just cause and effect actually, or one task being contained within another. These are the two things which will have an influence as to which order you do nagara. For example, excuse me a second, tamanegi, this is the best example actually, or kiri nagara nakimashita. So Kim, what does this mean?
When you were cutting onions, you cried.
Yes. Yeah, so if I was going to put this into if I was going to use it my sort of natural way of saying this in English, I'd say I cried while I cut onions. Or while cutting onions. I cried. Now, both of these are fine. These both mean the same thing in English, exactly the same. But if I reverse the roles here, while crying, I cut onions. This means something completely different, doesn't it? It's like you're sad, you're at home.
Whatever, I'm crying anyway, so I can cut the onions.
Yeah, or maybe you do it to make yourself feel happy. I feel so sad and lonely. I know, I'll cut some onions. This has the same effect in Japanese as well. If you say naki nagara tamanegi o kirimashita, it sounds really funny. It's like you were searching for something to make yourself feel happy while you're crying. So I cut some onions. So there is some kind of there is some influence there. The same one I had earlier actually about cutting the grass. It's not quite as extreme as the cutting the onions. But if I said shibafu, this is a lawn, or kari ne? Yeah, kari nagara radio uta o utaimashita. This means I sung a song while cutting the grass. It sounds funny if I do utta o utai nagara shibafu o karimashita. Sounds weird. It sounds like I was.
If you have a small yard.
Yeah, or it's a very long song. It sounds like I was kind of, one day I was singing a song to myself, and then I thought, I know, I'll cut the grass. Kind of sounds weird this way around. Yeah.
Can I ask
So,
something?
Of course, yeah.
But in that case, why doesn't that affect also the radio and studying example?
Yeah. So,
why do we just say that it's just simultaneous actions? Because it's not that every time I open the radio that I study.
Right, of course.
So it does affect it as well. We just didn't mention it, or no.
Well, I mean, the question is, if I turn, don't think of this in Japanese, think of it in English. For example, while singing a song, I cut the grass. Doesn't sound that weird. Not as weird as while crying I cut onions. But why does that have an effect in our own languages? If you know the answer from your own language, if this creates an image in your own language, then it will create the same image in Japanese. Now, let's do the benkyo and the listening to the radio. This could be a scenario that you're listening to the radio and you thought, I know, I'll study. Doesn't sound weird at all. It could be that you're studying and then you thought, I know, I'll listen to the radio. Also doesn't sound all that weird, does it? Because the two actions, what's the difference in this example and the other ones? In this example, the two actions of studying and listening to the radio, they both sound kind of, I don't know, what's the word? Not requiring equal attention, but they could both start at the same time. They could both be done independently without being weird. Whereas singing a song for no reason by itself, it's a bit strange. Crying is also by yourself is also unusual.
I just thought of it more as kind of, how would you describe a habit? Like you could say that you sing in the shower. It's the same like you would say you can sing while you're mowing the lawn, but then that makes it kind of like describing a habit. Like, I'm used to, like while I'm taking a shower, I sing, or while but right. In that case, you still, there is still a cause and effect because it's a kind of a habit. Yes. I'm used to do that.
So in this case, we would put the task in the nagara and the habit that we do at the same time as the task at the end of the sentence. That's how it works quite well. Yeah. Yeah, it's almost that kind of cause and effect. Why did you sing a song? Well, because when I'm cutting the lawn, it's boring. So to alleviate the boredom, I sing a song. So cutting the lawn is the main task, and the kind of subtask is the singing the song. Why were you crying? Because I was cutting onions. Cutting onions is the main task. That's the nagara. And then crying comes at the end. If crying is the main task, and whenever I cry, I always want to cut onions, then this would be naki nagara tamaneki o kirimasu. Yeah.
Just to justify your actions.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We had, when we did the nagara originally, we had the same question about eating dinner while watching television. And again, well, it does, you can kind of infer priority by the order at which you do it. Terebi o minagara bangohan o tabemashita. While watching television, I ate my dinner. Bangohan o tabenagara terebi o mimashita. While eating dinner, I watch television.
Because I'm thinking at some point, one of the two actions will finish first. No?
Right. That's inferred, isn't it? That the one which is marked with nagara seems to be the one that might start first or finish after. So the other task might be contained within it. Yeah. Okay. That's used a lot of time on that. Let's get back to these other ones. Let's see. Let's start from Piotr. While I was watching television, Shoji's sister was making dinner.
I'd use, so we can choose which one we want to use here, right?
Yeah, tell me which choices do you think you have available to you?
Well, I don't know which one was longer or shorter, so I wouldn't use Ida ni because I don't know which one would be contained.
So it's not that important actually with Ida ni. But in any case, you are actually, this is the one which is being marked with Ida ni really. It's the while I was doing something. This is the one that you should mark with something.
So then Ida ni could be used apparently. Toki could, let's see, Toki could also be used.
Yep, Toki's fine.
Doji ni not because they're not instantaneous.
Good.
And Nagara could be used as well, and then probably either way.
Can it be used, Nagara?
No, because it's not the same subject.
Right. So you're restricted to Ida ni and Toki. And in this case, both would be fine. Both would be fine. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So do you want to make the sentence in your own choice?
Let's see. So when we use the, let's see, Ida ni is with te iru. So terebi o mite imasu.
Make this the plain form.
Iru? Yep. Mite iru aida ni. Shoji-san no, I'm not sure, imoto on ane.
Let's do imoto-san.
Imoto-san wa, wa, or ga? Ga would probably work as well.
Yep.
Bangohan o tsukurimasu?
She was making, yeah. Tsukurimashita or
ryori o shimashita.
Yeah, I'll just think of a different tense actually here.
Was making. Tsukutte imashita.
Very good. Yeah, both of these are fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean this is making dinner, so it would suggest tsukutte imashita rather than tsukurimashita. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep, this is fine.
Thank you.
Let's just quickly look at this with Toki, and we'll see that actually it makes no difference at all.
So that would be terebi o miru toki?
Miteru toki is fine.
Miteru toki, okay.
And
then leave the rest as it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Taya, you there?
Yeah.
It rained while Thomas studied French. So what options do you have here?
I think Toki.
Yeah, Toki's good. Could be used doji ni.
I guess.
Doji ni is usually instantaneous moments rather than durations. So we can't really use doji ni. How about nagara?
No.
No. And aida ni?
Yes.
Yes, can. So again, both of these are fine. Okay, go ahead.
Ame ga futte iru aida ni Thomas-san ga フランス語を勉強していました。
語を勉強していました。Thomas studied French while it rained, or it rained while Thomas studied French. Is there any difference in those two sentences? Because you've actually translated it as Thomas studied French while it rained.
Yes.
If it makes a difference, then we can change the order.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Can change the order. Just then, then Thomas is the emphasis there.
Yes. Yeah. So we'd say.
Thomas さんがフランス語を勉強していました。勉強する間に雨が降っていました。
Yes, する間に Yeah. Amega, what did you say?
降っていました。
降っていました。Okay. 勉強してる間に、勉強する間に。Yeah, good. Okay.
Andy, question.
Sure. Sorry, let's go to Taya first, then Jock. Sorry, Taya, can you say again?
No, just you want the Toki version or?
No, this is fine. We can just do this as Idani. This is fine.
Okay.
Jock, go ahead.
I wonder why it's shiteimashita, shiteimashita, because wouldn't shimashita be enough?
Yeah.
It doesn't say it was raining.
Yeah. Amiga futtiroid. So when we're using Idani, we need to either have this in the present continuous tense or the present tense.
Okay.
What we can't do for some reason, don't ask me why, what we wouldn't normally do is say futta Idani.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you can see, トモさんがフランス語を勉強する間に雨が降っていました。So this is fine. This could, but this here could be 降りました。This was fine. Yeah, do it like this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then 勉強しています。
Yeah, here as well. This can be 勉強している as well.
している。
トムさんがフランス語を勉強している間に雨が降りました。So these two mean slightly different things. 勉強する間に means that, let me just do these two sentences a second. Let's break these out. Let's do している.
Yeah, wouldn't している be to prefer in this case?
Well, let me just write it out and then you'll see how it makes a difference. This one says it rained during the period of Thomas's study. Sorry, let me just move you guys around. This one says, sorry, give me a second. してる間に、勉強する間に, and this one says it rained at some point during the period of time. This says it rained during Thomas's study. So one suggests that it happened not necessarily for the whole duration, but the second one here means it rained almost as soon as whilst Thomas was studying, it was raining the whole time.
You can't really make that assumption from the English sentence.
You're right, you can't. Yeah. So, I mean, this is why I'm not too worried about which one you use, because it's not really clear from the English anyway. Okay, let's carry on.
Can I ask something? How is the past tense implied in that case?
This verb here, the final verb.
Is it?
This one and this one.
The furimashita, okay.
Yeah. This is how you position the entire sentence. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Sophie. While I was cleaning the kitchen, a letter arrived. It was my medical test results. It turns out I'm a giraffe.
Kitchen is daidokoro, I think.
Good. Very good.
Yeah. So cleaning, soji. Daidokoro o soji shiteiru.
Good.
Shiteiru. Oh, wait, okay, so much. Something that happened. We could use Tokyo Aidani here, right?
We could, yes.
Yeah. So.
You can decide, Sophie. It's your freedom of choice now.
So while I was doing that, talking.
Yep.
Tegami Ga arrived. I don't know that verb.
So you've got choices here. Actually, you can say tsukimashita, kimashita, todokimashita. Any of these is fine.
Oh, okay. So it was my test results. Watashi no?
I don't know what word the medical is. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Irio.
Irio, thank you.
Irio. Watashi no irio?
Kensa.
Yeah, irio no kensa. Igaku? Let's put irio for now. I don't know which one it is. Watashi no irio. And
Was deshita?
so this is just medical. Irio no. Then test is this isn't shiken, this is kensa. Kensa. And then results is sorry, this is lots of vocabulary now. Kekka. And then it was
Deshita.
Deshita. Very good. Yes. Cool. Very good. Well done, Sophie. Constant is gone. Kim, did you do this one yesterday?
No, I didn't. This one.
Let's try this one then.
I did the one with fixing the teeth, I think.
Ah, right. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Hospital, it is byoin.
Very good.
Byoin ni kuruma o untenshite iru.
So you don't need to say kuruma, you can just say untenshite iru.
Iru aida ni.
Good.
And then I got for kids, kodomotachi.
Yep, good. Kodomotachi.
Kodomotachi wa ushiro. Ushiro de sozoshiku.
Sozoshiku?
Hai.
Sozoshiku.
Asonde imashita.
Very good. Asonde imashita. Good. And I told them to shut up.
Did I know that? What did we do? Damn it. That was one of those. Something like that, yes.
So a really good one for shut up is damare. Damare, which comes from damaru, and it's a group one. So you turn it into a command by saying damare.
Damare. Okay. Damare.
Damare. And then
I actually taught my wife this today. She was sick and tired of my Japanese.
And then how do you say I said?
Imashita.
Imashita. And what particle should we mark the quote with? Can anybody help Kim?
Oh, I think.
No, but to. O te. Damare to o damarate imashita.
Good. I understand yesterday wrong that when we use the continuous, we use ushuru ni instead of de.
Sorry, yes, this is a present continuous tense here, correct. Yeah, so this has to be ushiro ni. Correct. Yeah. Cool. Really good. Constantina. The dentist was fixing my teeth while I slept. When I woke up, I could not feel my mouth.
Why am I having all the teeth today?
I don't know. let's
Okay,
see. Let's see your teeth, Constantine. I'm not trying to drop hints. Yeah, they look pretty good actually. Yeah. I don't know. Are you eating lots of sweeties at the moment?
I'm trying not to. I swear to God, I'm trying not to not eat sweets because I'm not fitting in my trousers anymore.
That's because
That's a problem.
while you're
In my
sleeping,
world.
You can always wear a dress, you know.
If I start not fitting on my dress, I'm gonna jump over the way.
Sorry, Constantina, he was talking to Jock, not you.
Ah, no. Okay, nice to see.
During the night when you're
See,
sleeping.
that's why hakamas are nice. They always fit.
That's true.
There is a limit to that theory. Okay. Konstalinka, proszę, dozo.
Proszę. Okay. While I was sleeping. So I cannot use the Nagara.
Correct.
Because it's different the subject.
Correct.
So I'm using the Aidani.
Good.
Okay. So let's start with the dentist. The dentist is Haisha. Haisha-san. Okay. And fixing is Naosu, but
Good.
I can use it for the teeth. Okay.
Why not? Yeah.
Okay. Fixing. Okay. So I do it. Naoshite iru. Okay. Haisha-san ga watashi no ha o nashite iru aida ni.
Good. Aida ni.
Mimashita.
You had a choice of two verbs, and you came up with a result which doesn't work for any of them.
Let's say with Neru, it's easier.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know why people go to Nemuru. It's harder to say. Use Neru.
Neru nemimashita.
No. It's a group 2 verb.
Neru nemashita.
Nemashita.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. When I woke up, I could not feel my mouth. So, shit. Wake up. Nemu again.
No. So, this is kind of the wrong word to use, technically. Okiru means to get up.
Yeah.
But in this case, the actual word for waking up is me o sameru, to wake up, me o sameru. But in this case, you can use okiru or me o sameru. It doesn't really matter.
Okay. So when I woke up, I can use the toki.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. Okite. Toki, okite.
Not okite, but
Okita.
Really good. Well done. Good.
Okita iru.
No. Where are you going with this? No. Go ahead.
I'm trying. Okita toki.
Good.
I could not. So it's potential. To feel is the verb to feel. The can.
Good. Yeah, that's it. Go ahead. Go on.
Kanjiru.
Kanjiru.
No?
Yes. Kanjiru.
Okay. I'm doing it. Mouth. How's the mouth? I don't remember mouth.
But when you see
I know the kanji.
When you see a baby or a child and you grab it by the mouth and you say kuchi 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 ku kuchi kuchi ku, this is kuchi. Kuchi.
I'm not gonna forget it now. Kuchi. Okay. Kuchi o.
Remember, it's a potential verb.
Kuchi ga kanjiraremasen. Desta.
Very good. Well done. Really good. Well, Haisha-san ga watashi no ha o naoshiteru aida ni nemashita. Okita toki Kuchiga kanjiremasen deshita. Well
I
done.
need a beer now.
Go have a cake instead. Oh, hang on, I'll be back in a second.
Bye diet.
Choco.
Choco.
Well, it's good that the online cake doesn't make you fat.
That's a very
Look what
good
I've
idea.
made.
I
What these
saw
called?
the picture.
There's nobody here that's Dutch except Piotr.
Gevulde broodjes.
Is it? Almond cookies.
Gevulde koeken.
Thank you. Yeah.
They look absolutely amazing.
Oh, nice. Yeah. You can actually use them as a weapon as well. They're hard enough
Well,
to
if they're that
hit
hard,
something.
you might have overcooked them.
I did
that's
slightly,
a different thing.
They're not that sort of gooey texture inside that they normally have. I did slightly overcook them.
When they get dry, they just get chewy, which can be very nice as well, because you get something to nibble on for hours and hours.
Exactly.
What's the filling?
Almond paste. Oh, nice.
I made this. It's a sweet bread.
Oh, what's it called?
Margarita bread, we call it.
Oh, okay. It's Italian recipe. It's an Italian recipe.
No, it's a Greek one.
Oh, okay. Oh, send me the recipe.
Of course.
Yeah. Cool. Good. Right. Let's move on.
Maybe a small question about the previous sentences. Is that not really saying while the dentist is fixing my teeth, I slept?
Right. Good question. So does it make a difference if we swap the two around?
No, right. But just to know it. Yeah, it's not a literary translation of the English sentence.
Correct. Exactly correct. Yeah.
Then I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So it should be. It would be if you were being really specific.そうですね。寝てる間に歯医者さんが私の歯を直しました。ね。Yes. Good.
Easier, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Sorry, people have moved around a little bit. Kim, you've done one, haven't you? Yeah. Effie, I listened to the radio while I was practicing shodo. This way I can completely relax while I draw.
I think for the first part, I think in both sentences we use something, right? Well and well.
Sorry, can you say again? These are so noisy when I'm eating them, I can't hear anything.
I think in both sentences we use something, right? In the first one, yeah, I mean a time reference.
Oh yes, we do. It's a double whammy. Yeah.
I think in the first one I can use nagara.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good.
Okay, so I start with that. Shodo no benkyou o no benkyou sketo benkyou. Shodo no benkyou shiteiru.
Just to improve our vocabulary, benkyou is study. What about practice? Do you know a word for practice?
Renshu.
Renshu, good.
Renshu shitemasu.
Oh, I thought you were going to do nagara.
Ah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, renshu shinagara.
Yep.
Radio o kikimashita.
Good.
This way I can completely relax while I draw. Here I would actually use aidani, I think, because I don't know at what point I will completely relax, no? Or because if you're always relaxed, I don't know. Aidani? No, you don't like it. Okay. Nagara?
I'm thinking. I haven't made an answer myself yet. I only did this morning.
Sorry, I take facial expressions too seriously. So.
No, I'm also chewing a cookie, so it could be anything. You see, we've got this way.
This way.
So.
This way.
This is where we've used an alternative way of using yoni. Kono yoni. This is where we can use yoni again. This way, this method.
Okay. Kono yoni. Kono yoni. Okay.
Yeah.
But then, do we do Aidani or? Because it's like, but it happens also simultaneously. So maybe it's still Nagara. You don't confirm? I'm worried.
I'm just thinking. I'm reading it. Hang on.
He's only behind I don't know. It feels like an Aidani, but I cannot use a Teiru because.
Okay. Let me just help here. This can completely relax, even though primarily it's a potential form. It's also a passive verb, so it doesn't work very well with shinagara, with nagara, because nagara is usually used for active verbs.
Okay.
So I think it's better to not use nagara in this case. This isn't a rule. This is style to sound natural.
What about the Aidani? Because I don't know if it's just one. If I use dojini, for example, it's just one moment, but the tokini, is it also quite short termed?
I think no, I think toki is better actually.
It's better. Okay.
It's saying when I draw, I can relax. At any point when I'm drawing, it can be a short duration or a long duration. I can relax, which is also can be a momentary thing as well.
Okay. Okay, I was thinking, okay, the between time, but okay, then toki. But relax, it's not the yasumu, it's something else, because I think I saw something about chikara. No, chikara, something about the muscles I saw at some point, but I don't. Do you really use relax? Okay. So, how do you do that in potential? Relaxareru.
Doesn't matter. Sorry, I've run out of Zoom writing ability. Just a second.
Because I have to make it potential or passive or relax.
Ehiru.
Okay, makes sense. このように描くとき描く drawing? 描く drawing?
Ah, but this is shodo, so it's actually writing.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Because it says draw. 描くときリラックスできます。
リラックス。
とてもリラックスできます。
not とても。
not とても。全然。全部。
よく。
よく。Okay, completely.
Sorry, give me a second, guys. Zoom is being a right pain in the ass. リラックスできます。
よく。Okay.
There's probably another, not yoku. Jock, what would you put in here instead of yoku? Begins with Y as well.
Completely.
No.
It's obvious when I tell you. You goody.
You goody. Okay.
Slowly.
Yeah, or at one's own pace, really. If you want to say calm down, it's kind of mean relax. Relax dekiru is fine. This is understood. Ochitsuku. Sorry, guys. I need Zoom is being. Yes, exactly. I'm going to delete some of this stuff first because I can't type anything now. Ochitsuku. This is one of those compound verbs we had earlier a few weeks ago, guys. You can use this, Effie.
To chill. I found something. Chikara or nuku.
Nukimasu. Yeah, this kind of means to kind of go. It means to do this. Splash.
Okay, you don't want to do that while doing shodo. Okay.
This means to release your muscles.
Okay.
Which is difficult to do when you're doing shodo because you basically need to help make your whole body into this kind of robotic skeletal structure to do the paint control.
Okay.
Okay, let's use ochitsuku instead.
So, yukuri, ochitsukimasu?
Yeah.
Ah, no, sorry. Ochitsukeru. Karerimasu.
Yeah, exactly. Kareru. Yeah, so we can put mas at the end. Good, that's it. Ochitsukarimasu. Constantina,
Question.
prego.
Sorry for.
No.
Before that, we use the riraksu dekiru. Shouldn't we put it kotoga?
No.
Like
Suru.
No.
If we have suru, if we do either the long version of potential or the short version, it still becomes dekiru because it's a suru verb. Yeah. So for this one here, Constantina, you could make this long. If you didn't know how to make this into the short version, you could say ochitsuku koto ga dekimasu. It's just long. Better to use the short version. Okay. Nazca. During the thunderstorm, the door was slammed shut by the wind.
During this thunderstorm, it's like I'm not sure which verb should I use.
But during the thunderstorm? Oh, this is a noun. So yeah, I mean, if you want to force a verb, then you could say no. So not rayu no ma, but rayu no aida. Ma is the Chinese reading of aida.
Ah, rayu no aida.
Yeah.
Rayu no aida, doa wa
It's rayu, isn't it? Sorry, guys, can you just check my translation of thunderstorm?
Rayu.
With a Y in it, or just an
yeah, like you have typed it, but without the apostrophe.
Just without the apostrophe.
Yeah,
I checked it, but
okay. Guys, this is the right way to. This is actually the correct way to write this. If you write rai u, this could be written as ra u.
Ra u.
This is with just a u at the end, right? Let me have a quick look. Hang on.
I'm not sure because
Moment. Yeah. So even though Aidic, you can just type in ra u. The way that you should write this in Romaji is this way, rai u. Otherwise, it could be interpreted as ra u, which it isn't, of course. It's rai is one character and u is another character. A bit like kin en, which means no smoking.
But isn't that meant to prevent people from reading it as ne instead of n e?
Yes. Yeah, this is the same. This apostrophe is breaking up. Kin is one character, en is another one. Instead of ki, ne, n.
But if you write u, it is still I, u. It's still two characters. It's not going to be a u character, right?
It can be this. It can be ra i u.
So ra i u, ra yu, rai u.
The pronunciation is the same. It's just if you're writing it in Romaji, yeah, you should. This apostrophe should be here. Yeah.
So rayu.
Yes.
Rayu no aida. Doa wa kaze ni yotte shimeraremashita.
What's yotte? That's good.
It was slammed shut or.
Oh, okay. This is the kind of.
Shimeraremashita.
Shimeraremashita is correct.
Shimeraremashita.
Yeah. This is good, but I don't.
Shimeraremashita.
Okay. I did. What's the yotte bit? I didn't. I just don't know what this is.
I searched for the slammed shut.
Okay.
It's not shut, just so I searched for a verb, and that was yotte shimeraremashita.
Excellent.
I'm not sure.
Okay, this is fine. This is fine. Right. So in this case, guys, could we use toki?
Yeah.
I tried, but
this is
Rayu toki? Rayu toki ni?
Rayu no toki. Rayu no toki. Doga.
Rayu no toki.
Yeah. Doga. Kaze ni. And then the rest of it's the same. Now, the difference between these two is this one, it's not clear in the English sentence whether you know this or not. This one suggests that you know when it happened, like you were there, you heard it. This one suggests it happened at some point during the storm, but you don't know when. Just means at some point during the duration of the storm, the door slammed shut. Okay, cool.
Sorry, your day again, please.
Yeah, I don't know, because that's why I asked Nazca. Yoru. Let's see. Let's try to look. Was it in AEDICT you found that, Nazca?
I may wrote something wrong because now I cannot find it.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's some
Let's see. Slammed.
bullshit.
Tataki tsukeru. Swamu. Karando. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, just shut his phone for now. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
We use hageshi in the adverbial form to say violent shut.
Hageshiku, vehemently.
Hageshiku.
Yeah, this is fine. Hageshiku. Well, this is normally for an active verb.
Sensei, I have to go.
Okay,
Thank
see
you
you
very
soon.
much for today. See you soon.
No problem. See you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye. Okay, good. And David, while I was attending university, my younger brother was learning how to walk.
Attending university, daigaku, or what's that? That's attending. Is it sanka?
This would be. You could probably use that, which means attending, participating. You can use this, yeah. Sanka.
Sanka shite iru aida ni.
Good. Aida ni.
Toto. That's my brother.
Toto. Yeah.
Younger brother.
Yes. So Toto.
Walking.
Anybody help David?
Aruku.
Aruku. Toto ga it's arukikata.
Yes, good. Arukikata.
Or narate imashita.
Narate imashita. Very good. Cool. Good. Guys, a little memory test. My younger brother was trying to walk. How would you put that in here instead? He was, getting used to walking. Ototo ga?
Hasu desu.
Yarimashita.
Volitional and suru.
Never ruku in there.
Yoni suru.
One more time, Effie.
Yoni suru.
Yoni suru. So yoni shite imashita. Yeah, exactly. Good.
Would manande imashita work as well?
No?
Hazudes means he must, or he seemed to.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, David, one more time.
Would manande imashita work as well?
Learning? Yeah, you can.
Okay.
This is fine. For Narao and Manabu. Yeah.
Narate
This is good.
imashita.
Yeah. Cool. Tobe. If I don't drink tea while teaching Japanese, then I get thirsty.
お茶を飲まない。
いつですか？
let's see, お茶を。
This is
yeah, right,
really,
right.
Yeah.
日本語を教えている間に、お茶を飲まない。
飲まない。
で、飲まないだ。
This is what kind of sentence is this?
飲まなったら
飲まな。If you have a negative condition, almost certainly you should use the.
くなかったら
I wouldn't use this. I would use something else.
飲まなら。
飲まな。飲まな。ナスカどうぞ。
It's ば飲まなければ。
飲まなければ。Yes.
Of course. Of course. 飲まなければ。乾く。
Good.
But
this bit.
Yeah. Not node, but
nodo.
Nado.
Nodo.
Nodo.
Nado is etc.
Nado, it's yeah. Nodo o kawakimasu.
Something. Kawakimasu.
Ni.
Not this particle.
Ni.
Yeah, not this particle.
Nodo. Ni,
it becomes
nodo.
It's an intransitive verb, so this would be.
Oh.
No. This would mean that you dry your throat.
Transitive. Transitive. Sorry. Nodo ga.
Nodo ga kakimasu. Good. Okay. Tom, while I was driving to London, I saw a horse.
ロンドンに、運転している間に、馬見ました。
見ましたね。
見ました。
はい、very good. Jock, while I was drinking.
You could use the nagara this because the subject is the same. You could use the nagara too.
This would suggest that you're watching a horse while you were driving to London, which is illegal but entertaining. It means that a horse was running next to the car constantly while you were driving to London. Okay, Jock, while I was drinking coffee, my wallet was stolen. I had to call the police.
コーヒーを、飲みな、コーヒーを飲む間に、飲んでいる間に、
Yep, good.
財布を盗められた。
Yes, 財布 not or but 財布が盗ま。Sorry, give me a second. I've got to delete some words. Hang on. 盗まれましたね。
盗まれた。
Yep.
警察を呼ぶなければならない。なかった。
Not 呼ぶ but 呼
ばれ。
Yes, not 呼ばなければ。
ならなかった。
ならなかった。いや、なりませんでしたね。はい。
Oh, sorry, yes.
Good, that's right. Okay, we'll do one more, guys, just because I want to test your ability to sound strict. Don't put your elbow on the table while you're eating. Now, think about it for a second. Everybody, think about it for a second. Which is the right timing term to use in this case? Just think about it for a second. There could be one, there could be two.
Toki.
Toki could be one.
Nagara.
Nagara.
Nagara? Really? Think about it. While you're eating.
Subject difference.
No, the subject's the same. Really? It's still you, but Nagara suggests doing two processes at the same time. One, in this case, is eating, and then putting your elbows on the table sounds like an event that happened during this time. So it's not like your Dojini. But Dojini is for when both of the processes are instantaneous.
We've only got one left.
Which is
Ida.
Yeah, exactly.
Faster.
Yeah, Ida. So this is fine.
It could be Dojini if you eat really fast.
Doesn't that mean you're going taking a fork to your mouth and then going 1?
Yeah,
2.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Every time you munch, every time you chew, put the elbow on the table. Okay, so how would we make the sentence?
テーブルの上に肘をかけない。
So while you're eating? While you're eating?
食べる。
食べている
Yeah.
食べている間に。
間に。Yeah.
肘を。
テーブルに。
Yep. テーブルに。
かけないよ。
かけないよ. This is one way of doing it. Jock, I'd still say this sounds like an instruction rather than a strict command, though. So, how can you make it a little bit more severe?
かけるな.
Kakeruna. Good. Yes. Good. Or if you're saying it is wrong to do this, you must not do this.
かけてはいけない。
かけてはいけない. Very good. Cool.
It doesn't go.
Yeah, this is like 食べなければなりません. You can also say 食べなければいけません. So なりません and いけません are kind of interchangeable as this consequence of an obligative. But なりません is a bit more standard. いけません is perfectly acceptable though. Yeah, it doesn't go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, we've used up a bit of time, guys. I don't really have time today to do the kana, so we'll do that on Sunday if Kenji and Rieko aren't feeling frisky. Any questions about today, guys?
I don't really understand a difference between Toki and Ida now.
So in this case, for this example here, for most of these examples, Toki and Ida are both the same. But the only real difference between the two, I'm going to have to delete some stuff again. Why does Zoom do this? This is so annoying. It's actually up here, Nazca. The main differences are when you have Ida, you can use this if you don't know when the second thing happened. But if you have Toki, it suggests that you're able to make a reference as to when it actually occurred. But so if you want to specifically say that it happened at some point during this period, but you don't know when, then it's better to use Ida. For example, the one that Jock did, my wallet was stolen while I was drinking coffee. If you said Aidani, it means at some point during the time that I was drinking coffee, but I don't know when it happened. If you said kohi o nonderu toki, saibu ga nusumaremashita, it suggests that you were able to say exactly when it was taken. Yeah.
Thank you. Saw it happening, really.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Cool. See you on Sunday, hopefully, if you're available. If not, have a nice weekend. There's also some schniffle happening tomorrow on Patrick Swen's event if you want to come and see it. It's been posted on Andy's Nihongo Corner if you want to join us. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Cool. See you later, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Gozaima deshita.
Mata ne.